And so I just want to say hello and introduce my lovely client, Kathy, to everybody here. And I just wanted to take a few minutes just to see where Kathy is at in her journey so far. So we got started January or February, Kathy?
January.
Got started in January, so we still have some time left together. But I just love watching her transform inside and out throughout the past few months. And so I thought that we would just jump on, have a little chat, and that she could share her perspective of being part of the program. And so we'll just dive in right away. Don't need to take up much of everybody's time, but I'm excited to talk to you, Kathy. So we'll get started with the first question. And the first question is, what was your challenge, weight loss challenge or sabotage challenge prior to the Stick to It System program?
The challenge for me was just, I felt like I was just always thinking about food. I was just always opening the fridge. It certainly didn't help with COVID and just being kind of stuck at home. That was an added challenge to the whole thing, but it was just, kind of doing a program, but not following through. And it was just, I just reached a point where it was just like, something has to change. Mm-hmm. And both physically and mentally, something had to change.
Okay. And so what did you do to try to overcome those challenges in the past?
I never really worked very much, I think, on the mental part of it. It was more just, I guess, the physical part of the food, counting calories or different programs, tracking and things like that. So just joining different programs that was just mainly concentrated on kind of the energy you put in and the energy that you put out. There was there was one program that I worked a little bit mentally on it, but mainly just kind of your typical programs where you're watching your calories and things like that.
All right. And so then what would you say, what your struggles were? Like, how come do you think that none of those things were able to give you results?
I think they all gave me short-term results, but it was never long lasting. And as the program would come to near an end, I would just be thankful that it was like ending. And and then it would be like, oh, then I can go back to how I was eating before, which of course never works. So that was the whole thought process.
Right. It's just kind of like, I see that light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. Let's just bear down and get there. And then we can go back to what we were doing before. Yes. I think a lot of people here can relate with that. And I know I can relate with that as well. And so I'm curious, was there a moment that made you move? Like, what was it? Like the breaking point, really the moment that made you move to a different solution? Like the aha, you said, like, I just knew mentally and physically something needed to change. I'm curious, like, what made you call me?
Well, I don't know how I stumbled upon you on Facebook, but somehow I did. And before that, I was actually like seriously looking at maybe I needed to see a therapist that dealt with eating issues and somebody that could deal with the mental and the brain part of it. I felt that's where I really needed to change, because I knew that if I follow something, a program works for me. And I knew that I'm a smart person, but yet somehow the same things were happening over and over and over again. And it, like, even in my mind, I knew, well, okay, you shouldn't be eating this, but yet I'm still doing it. And so I knew that a shift had to be done within my brain. Mm-hmm. And I think the actual point that just really changed things for me was that I was completely vulnerable with my husband and told him everything. Like I told him, this is, when I get up in the morning, I think of food, or I'm always thinking of this, or and I never really shared with him before when I would be on a program, because if I didn't complete it, or, if things didn't go the way that I hoped they would, well, then no one would know. It would just be me. But I knew I needed the accountability, not necessarily accountability, because it's not like he's always looking over my shoulder what I'm doing, but I needed to be completely honest and say those words out loud. And I think by being vulnerable and honest to him, I was finally being honest with myself. And that was the beginning of the mind shift.
Yeah, I love that. And so with that, like even with the conversation and knowing everything needed to change, I'm curious, did you find it difficult to invest in yourself? Why or why not?
No, once I had that conversation with him, I knew that, yeah, like I'm worth it. My mental state is worth it.
Mhm.
And so it was never, I mean, we had that conversation, and I was very honest with him of the commitment and the cost and everything. But I think also just by sharing that with him and knowing that he also believed, that yes, like there wasn't even a question. It's yes, if this is what you need, and I believe this is what I need, we're doing this, and we're doing it together.
Yes. That's so exciting, right? And because there's a lot of times I know for a lot of our husbands, like you mentioned, like they have no idea what's going on in our brain. And so we can so often try to do things on our own for a long time. But then if nobody knows about it, it's so much easier just to give up on ourselves over and over and over. And little do we know, right, that we think like not telling anybody, we're just like saving ourselves from this sense of failure, but we still deal with that on the inside, right? And so when that happens, like with years and years, we aren't able to give as much as we would like, right? We're kind of trying to give from this empty cup. And so I love that you just brought it to your husband, brought it out, laid it on the table. This is really what my thoughts are doing. Right. This is how I think about food. It's one of those things that I think about all the time. And I know there's so many people who can relate with that, and so many people who aren't yet open with their spouses. And so I really appreciate that you kind of brought that up, because like a lot of women that I talk to, I can ask, does your husband know about how you feel? And the answer is like, no way, I would never tell him that. But the thing is, if he doesn't understand in a little way, or just know what you're thinking, it can be really hard for them to understand why you want to change. Right. And so I think that was so amazing that you didn't come to him in the form of, can you just tell me to like slap food out of my hand or anything like that? Right. Because that's not fair. That's not his job. He doesn't need to be, like you said, he's not an accountability partner, but somebody who's coming along on this journey with you, right? The acknowledgement that I'm changing things now. So I think that's so amazing. And so I'm curious now, right? If you'd mind telling everybody what you're doing now.
Well, the biggest thing has been the planning ahead, and it actually has freed me it's freed me from thinking of food all the time, which is really amazing, because now with just like before, I would in other programs I would track what I would eat and everything, but there was never thought put into it. Whereas this, I'm thinking ahead, okay, what am I going to have for my meals tomorrow, and then writing it down, and then following through on that. And so that's been a whole mind shift, and that I think has been the biggest game changer for me, and has just been so successful. And again, too, like just I'm not thinking about food all the time anymore. It's like, okay, I know this is what I'm going to have, or and the same thing too, knowing that if I want, some chocolate, or if I know we're having a birthday this weekend, if I know there's a birthday, well, the night before, then I will plan that, yeah, I'm going to have a piece of birthday cake, and,
Mm.
and that's it. And so then there's also no guilt that is associated with eating that piece of cake, because it's not done in secret. There's nothing wrong with me enjoying and celebrating with my family and enjoying that, but I've planned for it. And so that's been the biggest thing.
That's amazing. And so before, would you say that there was quite a bit of guilt and shame around food?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
there
How
was.
long do you think you struggled with that for?
I think like, oh my gosh, 30 years, easily. And I mean, it's not to say that there's still not times when sometimes if I do stumble, but the difference now is I just like there's been so much transformation in my brain and thinking through on it and thinking, okay, why did I do that? Or it's just a whole different process. Like I'm just thinking of things differently. And then I'm also showing myself grace. And I truly just really now can say that when I look in the mirror, I like what I see
Mm.
reflecting back at me. And it's not just the physical transformation, it's that mental transformation. It has been huge.
Yeah. Yay. I love hearing that because, even, you're not done your journey, right? And I think there's a lot of people who think when I'm at this number, I'll be able to look at in the mirror and say, I love the body. I love the person reflecting back, and I love that you just shared with us that you don't have to wait till the end, right? We can discover that throughout the journey. And that's beautiful because that means that we're creating a lifestyle. We're not creating that, like you mentioned at the beginning, like, like the light at the end of the tunnel is close, like my time with Kristen's almost done, right? And so of course there might be thoughts once in a while, our brain will do that, be like, okay, like when am I done this? But like now, would you say like you have tools to combat that as you grow throughout?
Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely. And the thing too, like the biggest thing again that I can see different from any other program I've done in the past is I don't see this as a finish line or that there's an end. Like it's an ongoing journey now that I'm just going to keep growing in. And yeah, so it's just a total different mindset.
Good. And do you feel like you've been supported through the process? I just want to
Oh,
ask.
yes.
Okay.
I mean, right from before I even began your program and just reaching out to you and the conversation that we had, and then, wanting to talk to some others that have been through the program or seen different things and that. So, just being able to sit down with my husband and I showed him one of the videos and then just in the group, just the group chats and the one-on-one conversations, that all the information that you've given us, whenever I think that the thing that I enjoy the most are all the little audio clips, because I know that I can go back to those at any time when even if I'm like maybe struggling, and then it's just like I've got you right there. Your
Mm.
voice is right in my ear.
Yeah.
And so you're with me the entire time if I need you. And and so that's great. And just yeah, it's really wonderful to be surrounded by other women that experience the same kind of challenges, but also are experiencing the same transformation and celebrate you and lift you up, and also are there to encourage you if you're having a bad day or if you have any questions. You just put it out there, and so many answers that come back, and the wealth of information that you receive, like not just from yourself but from the women walking this journey as well, is really great.
Yes. And I'm sure everybody's curious to hear. And the final question before I let you go, what are your results so far?
Well, so far, I'm down almost 20 pounds, but the biggest is I've cut my, I'm going to cry. Shouldn't cry. I've cut my diabetes medication in like almost a half, which is, that's the biggest thing.
Wow. And that's the work that you've done.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I am so proud of you. I am so happy to hear that because, you know, like weight is one thing, but living a life that's healthy that will take you, you know, like all through the next years, right?
Yeah.
And you're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exciting. Well, thank you for trusting me. And I'm excited just to keep going on this journey with you, Kathy.
Awesome.
All right. And I'm going to let everybody go now here and say goodbye. So I will stop that. All right. I didn't say bye onto the group, but they are gone now. I didn't realize halfway. You're half, like half. You've cut it in half.
Yeah, it's almost half. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I see my doctor at the end of April. So yeah, it's good.
I can't wait for that conversation for you to be, you know, to be able to share that. Like that will be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be really good. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, changes things for you too, right? Like to
Yeah.
be able to know like your health is actually it is improving. Again,
Yeah.
weight is one thing, but to have that health, right? That was your goal.
Yeah.
Good. Yay. And we still have more to go.
Yes. Yeah. It's good. It's really good. I can't thank you enough. It's just, yeah, it's definitely a total mind shift, and it's not so much the weight anymore. It's, you know, like I said before, I'm almost at the weight where I had set a goal, but now I know I can go further. And I think it's just allowing myself to and believing that I can, and that I'm not, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I know I can. I know.
Yay.
Yeah.
Right. And like back in the day, right? It's like that big thought, like, I don't know if I can. And because the brain wants to get answers from the past, but you know, past evidence of not doing things, following through for ourselves. But that's what you're proving to yourself every time you plan ahead. You're proving to yourself that you can follow through. So of course now you know you can.
Yeah.
Which is so exciting.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, I'm so excited.
My internet stayed. That's good, because I had a Zoom call this morning, and it, like, I kept freezing, and I thought, oh man.
You did it.
Yeah.
You picked like the exact perfect time.
Yeah.
The snow was just right. Not to bother the internet and all the things.
Yeah.
No, I really, really appreciate this. I got out of the habit of doing some interviews, and I know that people have questions, right? So I really appreciate that. You know, it's like I can say things is one thing, right? But coming from somebody who's experiencing it is like the whole next level, because of course I'm going to talk my program. So it's just so good to hear it from somebody who's experiencing it. So I really, really appreciate your time and just your willingness to share with people. Like that's huge, right?
Well, thank you for asking me. And yeah, it's really great. Thank you.
Good. Awesome. Well, thank you. I have to run and get my son.
Yeah.
My son is not at school, but it's of course hot lunch day. I feel so bad. He's had a bit of a panic attack this morning. We were at school. He just would not go in the classroom. So I'm like, I'm going to have to go back and pick up your hot lunch. Like that's exciting. So I have to run and do that, which is great to catch it before it goes in the class because I'm not allowed in class. So all these hurdles, but I mean, you're only 5 once in kindergarten. My friend who homeschools, she says kindergarten is actually optional. I don't know if you knew that. And I'm like, what? Okay, well, I feel a lot better now because I just feel so terrible when he's like literally panicking at the door. Like he's having like he had 2 weeks of spring break. He was sick for a week, and then he's having some separation issues now. So he did really good Monday and Tuesday. So I'm like, you know what, maybe maybe a midweek
Yeah.
break is good,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
when I went to Saskatchewan, my other son, the way Saskatchewan is set up, they do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the next week, Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay.
So, and here it's Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 2. So it's a full day. So
Yeah.
I get it. So I'm just like, of course it's on hot lunch day. You don't want to be there. But so now I have to go back and get his lunch. But anyway, so I'll let you go. But again, thank you so
Very
much. Like
welcome.
this means
Thank
so
you.
much to me.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Hey, you too. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.